Hey, what's going on everybody? Landon here with Late Model Restoration, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install a set of stainless power long tube headers for your 2015 and 2016 5.0 Mustang. What and who is Stainless Power? Well, Stainless Power is a subsidiary of industry leader Stainless Works. Stainless Works specializes in high-quality stainless steel constructed exhaust systems. Stainless Power's long tube headers will feature 1 7/8" primaries, a 304 stainless steel construction, and will be available with high-flow catalytic converters or an off-road option. Both kits will offer a factory connect style option, which means it will bolt up directly to a stock Catback or an aftermarket Catback that is designed to work with the factory style connection as well. There is one thing you guys will want to keep in mind before you pick up a set of Stainless Power headers. These will require a custom tune from your tuner to properly calibrate the PCM for such a drastic change. Before we begin, let's go ahead and get this white 2015 5.0 strapped down to our dyno and see what numbers we can pull for a baseline run. A little disclosure for this car, guys. It does already have a JLT intake, a Bassani mid-muffler Catback exhaust kit, and a custom tune. Also, for our own safety, this car has 331 gears, so the pull was made in 4th gear and not 5th, which 5th gear being the 1-to-1 ratio for these MT82 6-speed Mustangs. Last but not least, it is about 100 degrees out here in Texas, so the combination of heat and a 4th gear pull, the car won't make its max power. However, it will still give us a perfect baseline for an after pull with the long tube headers. Our baseline run gave us 385 horsepower and 363 pound-feet of torque. So with that under our belt, let's get the car in the air and start installing these Stainless Power headers. Keep in mind, guys, this is a header install. There will be some tight areas to work around and a little bit of frustration to come along with it. This can be done in your own garage. Just make sure you bring, obviously, some patience, a few of your buddies, and then get the car as high as you can if you're working off of jack stands. Before you begin, disconnect your negative battery cable. Removal of the intake system is optional. We removed our cold air kit to allow for a little more light and to tighten or loosen any of the top bolts on the driver's side. Now you can remove the two 15mm motor mount nuts on each side. A combination of several extensions and a wobble socket will help. Place the car on a lift or jack stands as high as you can. Here you will need help from a friend. Have them place the 15mm deep socket with a wobble socket and extensions onto the top mid pipe to header nut. This is on the passenger side. Break it loose from the top and then remove it. Back underneath the car, loosen but do not remove the lower nut with the 15mm ratchet wrench. Support the muffler or catback with a jack or pole jack. Loosen the front exhaust sleeves with the 15mm deep socket. Loosen and then remove the two 13mm bolts, securing the exhaust hangers to the IRS subframe. Moving to the rear of the car, loosen the four 13mm bolts, securing the rear exhaust hangers. Grab your buddy and separate the catback from the downpipes and exhaust sleeves. Take this time to disconnect the O2 sensors. Now remove the lower nut and get the passenger side downpipe out of the way. Loosen the driver's side clamp connecting the factory catalytic converter pipe to the down or lead pipe with a 13mm socket. Remove the driver's side lead pipe from the car. Mark the steering shaft orientation with a paint pen or permanent marker. Remove the bolt with a T40 Torx driver. Carefully separate the steering shaft from the rack and pinion. Use a series of 2x4s accompanied with a jack or pole jack and lift the engine until the motor mount brackets clear the motor mount studs. When jacking from the oil pan, use extreme caution and always jack from the corner. Starting on the passenger side, remove the motor mount bracket hardware. The frontmost stud will have a ground attached to it. Remove the nut and then remove the stud. Do the same for the remaining bolts and stud in the passenger side motor mount bracket. The driver's side will be the same, except there will not be a ground. Moving back to the passenger side, remove the power wire cap on the starter and remove the nut securing the power wire. Do the same for the ground wire. Now, loosen and remove the 3 starter bolts with a 10mm socket. One of the starter bolts will be tough to see, however, it can be removed extremely easy. Remove the starter from the car. Loosen the passenger side 16 header nuts with a 15mm ratchet wrench. A 15mm socket and socket wrench will also be helpful in removal of the nuts. Once the header is free, reach straight up and disconnect the oxygen sensor. Remove the passenger side factory header from the car. Leave the factory gasket in place. Moving to the driver's side, disconnect the oxygen sensor and remove the 16 header nuts. Just like on the passenger side, a 15mm socket or ratchet wrench will be your go-to tool. The next step is totally optional. You can use some of the included aluminum silicone around the openings on the flange. We decided to apply a small amount of the silicone around the openings in the flange. Starting on the passenger side, ensure that the gasket is in place and position the header over the studs. We wanted to utilize as many studs as we could, so we left them all in the cylinder head. Once the header is over the studs, loosely tighten the previously removed nuts. A stubby ratchet wrench will be the biggest lifesaver in retightening the nuts. Tighten all of the nuts down until they stop with adequate torque. Do not over-tighten. Position the driver's side header over the studs as well. Loosely tighten the nuts and then carefully tighten them down just like the passenger side. Prepare yourself to tighten a few of the nuts by small turns via the open end on your wrench. Connect the longer of the 2 included O2 extensions to the passenger side top connection. The shorter of the included O2 extensions will be to the driver's side. Reinstall your starter and your motor mount brackets. Don't forget the stud with the ground on the front of the bracket. Reinstall your steering shaft and retighten the bolt. Now you can lower your jack or pole jack and let the brackets rest back on the motor mounts. Back over to your factory cat pipe. Remove the oxygen sensors with a 7/8 open-end wrench. Transfer the top or the oxygen sensors with the black connections and gray loom to the collector on the header. Be mindful that you keep them side-specific when transferring. Tighten the sensor with the same 7/8 open-end wrench. Slide one of the included clamps over the provided catless pipes. If you are installing the catted version, this will be a catalytic converter. Position it over the collector and lightly tap it flush with a dead blow. Don't tighten the clamp. Position the side-specific lead pipe over the catless pipe and tap it flush as well. Do the same for the other side. Transfer the rear O2 sensors to the respected lead pipes and tighten it down. Loosely tighten the exhaust clamps on the catless pipes and lead pipes. Have your friend help you reposition your catback and exhaust sleeves. Tighten down the exhaust sleeves and the exhaust clamps on the lead pipes. Retighten the catback exhaust hangers. Double check to make sure your tips sit even in the rear of your valence. Route your oxygen sensor wires away from the exhaust and zip tie them out of the way. Now is a perfect time to give everything underneath the car a solid once-over. Back up top, retighten the motor mount nuts, reinstall the intake if you removed yours, and reconnect the negative battery cable. Again, double and triple check everything. Reflash your PCM with a custom tune calibrated for the long tube headers, and you're all done. All right, fellas, now that we have our headers installed, we reflashed the PCM with the SVE Custom Tune, which properly calibrated the car for the long tube headers. So let's turn the rollers again and see what she makes. This pool was made in 4th gear as well, just like our initial baseline run. Well, all right guys, the car managed to make 402 horsepower and 377 pound-feet of torque. So that's good for peak gains of 17 horsepower and 14 pound-feet of torque. Taking a look at the third graph, you can see the low-end torque the car picked up after the headers, as well as the top-end power. So the synopsis on this one, fellas, these stainless power headers are definitely worth it. If you guys want to continue watching more awesome how-to videos like this one, then I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. For those of you that do own a 15 and 16 Mustang GT, get back over to the site and grab some stainless power headers for your car at Late Model Restoration.